Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that every week goes to the cinema, sees a couple of things, and goes back home, sees a couple of things, and says, "This is what we've watched." Rates them all out of 5 and says, "Who's won this week?" Netflix vs. Cinema. This week there is only really one big thing, and that is James Bond is back. James Bond is back. Daniel Craig is back for the final time as James Bond, and with No Time to Die. So we usually kick off by asking, what have we seen in the cinema this week? I have seen No Time to Die. I went to a midnight showing, and I've been paying for it ever since. this whole day. My body is letting me know, we don't do this anymore. There's a reason we don't do this anymore, especially when the film is 2.5 hours long and finishes at 3 o'clock in the morning before we get home. Yes, so I have seen, in cinemas this week, I have seen No Time to Die. How about you guys? Shaun?
Okay, yeah, well, I figured that you might do that, and if I'd have gone to a late one, I'd have probably fallen asleep, because I found that now with the late ones, I won't do late ones. You know, I know they have special ones, but I just don't enjoy them so much. So I figured you probably might do that one. So we're saving that for tomorrow. I'm going to go see that with Sharon and a few other friends. We decided, so we'll do it. It'll be like an expedition.
Yep.
So I decided, I saw what was out, and there wasn't a lot out what we'd seen before. I actually watched a movie called Sweetherat.
Oh, Sweetheart. Okay, now Shaun, you have this uncanny ability to go and find films in the cinema that I did not even know existed. Now, I'm not sure whether that is a case of the cinema that's close to where I am, as I often say almost every week, being rubbish, and meaning that I just can't, I just don't get to know about these films. But yeah, I've heard nothing of Sweetheart. And anything. Sharon, how about you?
I didn't see anything at the cinema this week. The only one on option was Sweetheart. There was nothing else new that we haven't already reviewed, and I didn't really fancy it. So I gave cinema a miss this week.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's the big film effect, isn't it? Like, it happens. We've mentioned this whenever a Marvel movie is released, and everybody goes, "Oh, we're not releasing a film that week." It's like, what's the point? And I think the big one is James Bond, because James Bond has been delayed and delayed and delayed. At least it's had at least 2 release dates I can remember that got delayed because of the pandemic.
Yeah, because of that.
Finally, it's here, and I think, hang on, don't worry, I'm still here. I had a battery die on me. So yeah,
but I thought, having seen Herself, Our Ladies, there's another one, these sort of quite low budget female centric films, I just did not fancy another one.
You didn't fancy Sweetheart?
I've leave Sweetheart to Shaun, and he can do the girl power this week, and I was gonna stay home and eat breakfast.
It's a shame, really, because I think I was thinking that you may have quite enjoyed this.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but anyway, when I review it, we can.
All right. Okay, so Sharon, tell us, what have you seen at home this week?
So I saw a film on Sky Cinema. It's called The Edge of the World. It's quite a new release with starring Jonathan Rhy Meyerrs and Dominic Monaghan.
All right. Okay, cool. You see, I think it's Jonathan Rhy Meyerrs. Whenever anybody says that name, I have to stop for a second and go, Jonathan Rhy Meyerrs, not John Rhys Davis.
Yes, not Gimli, but
two different people. Very, very different people.
Yes, very different.
And I feel like, depending on which one of them is in the film, you're going to have a totally different type of film. How about you, Shaun? What did you see at home?
At home, I finally watched. I managed to watch season 2 of Pennyworth.
Ooh.
So. Yeah, I know.
You were quite taken with the first season, weren't you?
I was quite taken with the first one. I mean, I did see a couple early on. I've sort of been watching them, but I actually managed to because I was watching them quite sporadically. Like sometimes rather than binging. And I've actually managed to finish it now. So because there's quite a lot of episodes as well. So takes its time.
They gave you more episodes after the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And
there's a few seasons out at the moment, I've noticed, where they're releasing an episode a week as opposed to releasing the whole thing. So I'm watching, obviously, Walking Dead.
I am too, Sharon.
The Last Man.
Oh,
Why The Last Man? Oh, that.
They're like dropping an episode a week rather than the whole thing. So I'm watching when that comes out.
How many have we got left on Walking Dead?
I think there's probably another 10 or so to go.
Oh, wow.
If it's a full season, then there'll be 22 episodes, and they've only done the first 5 or something.
5, yeah.
So there could be that there's going to be, if it's a full season, they're going on till next year.
Wow.
Yeah, and as we know, I obviously love The Walking Dead.
You're so over The Walking Dead.
I love talking about The Walking Dead. Oh, yay, let's talk some more about The Walking Dead. Yay, great thing. But I wonder what they're going to do different that's going to be different this time. Hey, wow, whatever. Anyway.
There might be zombies in it, you know.
There might be zombies, that might be it. Never mind. You can go back into our archive and you can listen to other shows about me whinging about The Walking Dead. Like some, just whinging about it. All right, cool. So let's kick off. Let's kick off in cinema, as we usually do. Kick off in cinema, and let's kick off with... I'll get my timer on for 5 minutes because I think we're probably going to do this again when you guys actually see it and come back.
We'll do a special.
I think when you guys come back, when you see it, you tell me what you think about it. I think we'll probably do something on that. So 5 minutes. We're going to talk about No Time to Die, the 25th Bond movie. The 25th Bond movie that I started watching at 1 minute past midnight this morning. Ooh. And it is so obviously it's been publicized. This is Daniel Craig's final movie. This is the 25th Bond. There's been a whole bunch of stuff that's been going on in it, and I think and this is a film that I feel like there's some things that they have in this film that if it was released when it was originally released would have been earth shattering, because it's the way it's done, but because of the amount of time they probably made this film 2 to 3 years ago. Started filming this for 2 to 3. That's been a lot of time for stuff to come out and for spoilers to come out and for things that would have been like, oh my god, that just blew my mind, that happened in the film or in the story of the film. It's some of it has been leaked about. For instance, there's a lady called Lashana Lynch who plays a character. She is in the trailers. You see her. She's the new 00 agent. And the fact that James Bond has retired and all that, and all this stuff has sort of seeped through. It seeped through, so some things are not as shocking as they would be. But I have to say, I absolutely loved this. I was watching this, and I know that right now, as I'm saying this, I know that I am running a massive risk. I am running a massive risk. I can see Shaun's face right now. I'm running a massive risk of overhyping something. So when you actually go and watch it, you think it's a bunch of rubbish because it was totally overhyped. This has been getting a lot of rave reviews across the board, and this is one of the few times where I think it is totally deserved. It is totally deserved. Daniel Craig is going out on a high. I mean, this film, I think it is possibly, and this is the way I had to put it, this is possibly the best film ever with a character called James Bond in it.
Really? That's quite high praise.
Yeah, it might not be the best Bond film because, when you talk about a Bond film, people have certain things that they expect. You're going to have this. You're going to have 3 women. You're going to have they're going to have 3 women that sleep with James Bond. There's going to be 1 woman for the opening sequence. There's going to be 1 woman halfway through who's actually affiliated with a bad person who he sleeps with anyway, and then she's going to die at some point. And there's going to be the woman that he finishes off with in the final. There's all these different things that you expect from a Bond film, and that becomes very, very particular to each person, and people think, oh yeah, this is what I want from my Bond film, that's what I want from my Bond film. This throws a lot of the things that usually happen in a Bond film away, but it brings some of the things back almost in a very, very traditional, classy way. There is one particular scene that they have which I'm going to call the Hall of M, and the way in which they do it is so classy that I was just kind of sitting in the cinema going, oh my god, that's so great. But the notes I had to make, I think the opening sequence that lead up to the traditional James Bond title sequence, the opening sequence that leads up, the pre-credits that leads up to the opening sequence, I think it's a hell of an opening. I think it's an absolute hell of an opening. The way it cuts, the way it goes into the song and everything, I'm like, okay, cool, that's good. And Daniel Craig he's played the only Bond with an arc. So if you think about all the other James Bonds, like all their films pretty much existed in silos, where
Yeah.
what happened in one film didn't affect what happened in the next film. And Daniel Craig is the only one who has an arc that goes from the first film, and by his fifth film, they're still talking about things that happened in the first film.
Yeah.
And he's the only one who's done that. And they have been, and this is the most emotional Bond I think I've ever seen. And in other films, they have tried during Daniel Craig's arc to make you care about Bond's upbringing or Bond's life, especially in Skyfall. And I did not think it worked. Because personally for me, I know Skyfall is loaded. I think Skyfall is... I think Skyfall is overrated, quite frankly. But in this film, I think they nailed it. I think that they nailed that final thing where they're like, okay, we're going to give you something about Bond's inner life. And I'm like, this actually works. This actually works. And it's a lot more of an ensemble piece than most other Bond movies, in that there's other characters that pop up. And at the end of the film, you're just kind of like, I want to see more of that character. I want to see more, like, there's Anna de Armas, she shows, I want to see more of her. I definitely want to see more of Lashana Lynch's character. And it's kind of like, you know, most of the Bond films, it's all about him. And everybody else is just serving whatever he wants to do. And they don't really have anything or a moment to shine or anything like that. I feel like in this one, everybody has a moment to shine. Q does, M does, Moneypenny has a little bit of a moment. It's just really, really well done. I think the action is done quite well, and I think Daniel Craig has never been better. He sells everything in this film. He sells the emotional bits believable. I was, as I said, the film is about 2.5 hours long, and hang on, that is it telling me my 5 minutes are up. So just for a roundup, the film's about 2.5 hours long, and I had to keep checking my watch, not because I was getting bored, because I was like, seriously, 2.5 hours? But it seems to be flying by. Is it? Oh yeah, we have been here a while. So yeah, all in all, I really, really enjoyed this film. As I said, it might just be like, you know, recency stuff happening, or maybe I'm just high on watching a film at midnight. But I think it might be, for my money, the best James Bond film ever made.
Ooh, cool.
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. And now I'll leave you guys to go watch it, and then you can totally tell me, for goodness sake, Toast, that was a bunch of rubbish. How dare you? Since when does James Bond have feelings?
Because Bond has been one of those slightly problematic films, hasn't it? I mean, I went through a phase when I didn't see anything after GoldenEye until Daniel Craig. I think the GoldenEye was the last cinema release I saw, and then I might have seen a few in between, but I certainly am not a completist, and I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
And I've seen all of the Daniel Craig ones, but there's a gap where I just haven't seen. I didn't see any of the Timothy Dalton. Haven't seen those ones.
You haven't seen the Timothy Dalton?
No, since Shirley Bassey stopped singing the theme songs, I've got a gap in my knowledge. So I'm one of these people who've grew up with it, as we all did. And then sort of every now and then I sort of will make a nodding acquaintance with Bond without getting too closely involved. Yeah. And then I've sort of had a nodding acquaintance with Daniel Craig's Bond. Yeah. But because, you know, so...
For me with Bond...
I'll watch it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, for me with Bond, it is basically Sean Connery is Bond. I watched the only good Roger Moore one is Live and Let Die, which was written for Sean Connery. The rest I just cannot remember, and I think they're a load of tosh. I really, really liked the two Timothy Dalton ones. I thought they were right back to Bond. I think he was a
good Bond, yeah.
And Pierce Brosnan, I haven't got a clue about. So, and I've run it. I couldn't even tell you. Just about Invisible Car. I think someone was talking today and said, "Oh, I like the one with the invisible car," and I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
right,
that was Die Another Day," and that went. There's one particular scene where you just think it's time for Pierce Brosnan to go.
I will totally. I didn't like the Brosnan stuff, and I'd really struggle in a film quiz if it was Brosnan and James Bond. I wouldn't have a clue. Now, Craig's brought it straight back. Really, I think.
Yeah,
so
I'll tell you.
On track.
Okay, so no, you just raised a big point, because obviously there was a lot of stuff I had to say, and we might talk about this again next week. But with most Bonds, you just raised the point that you do not remember what the hell happens in them. You don't remember what the plot was. You don't remember who the bad guy was. You don't remember what they were trying to do. You don't remember what he was trying to stop. You might remember moments, he jumped on alligators. He kicks a car off a cliff. Something like that. You might remember, but you don't remember what the hell the storyline was. And also the women have nothing to do. I mean, if I'm going to be totally honest. Yeah. And in this film, this is a film that I think I will remember the plot of this film over and above all the other Bond films. I think, like, even Dr. No, what the hell was Dr. No doing? I can't remember.
He's going to take over the world, isn't he?
Yeah, they all want to take over the world. Why? How? No one knows. But this one, I think I will. This one, I think I will remember. This, I will remember, and that says a lot. And also, the women in this film, they've sorted it out. I think that they finally, because every time a Bond film comes up, they go, oh yeah, the women in this film, they're going to be different. They're going to have their own thing, and they say it over and over again, and it's a lie. The women come out and it's the same old Bond nonsense. But the women in this film, it's almost as if they watched Black Panther, which people have referred to as the James Bond of the MCU.
It's not too in your face, is it? The female side of it. I mean, not like.
Oh, Shaun.
That's good. Sorry, no, I don't mean that horridly.
No, I know.
When it's done.
When it's done well,
it's like, it's like, yeah, if it's done well, it's absolutely terrific. But when it's like, we know why that's in there. That is just too like, I don't know what the word is. Too cliche.
Yeah. No, it's almost too preachy.
Yeah,
it's too preachy. But no, that isn't.
I think, as you alluded to, Tosin, with a lot of these Bond films, you get the feeling that everyone who isn't Bond is like in a waiting area, waiting for their scene. They don't have a life outside of what you see.
No,
and I always feel like with Moneypenny, she's one of these people. She's like reading a book, or she's doing her nails, and then as soon as she hears the door go, she's like, "Oh, pretend to be typing."
Oh, James! Oh, finally you're here. Now I have purpose.
The only work she does is those sort of 10 minutes between when he's coming in and out, and you get the feeling that as soon as he's gone, she's like feet up and doing her nails and reading a book again. She doesn't have a life outside of what you see on the screen. And if that they've made, and I'm good with him, I get the feeling that he pops up, oh, look at this gadget, oh, look, lovely, ooh, or Q, or whatever his name is, whichever one it is. It's like, oh, look at this.
Oh, that's I think full marks to Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who she wrote Fleabag. She created Fleabag and Killing Eve, and she did some work on the script for this. And there's some lines that I end up like, that is a Phoebe Waller-Bridge line. That is totally what?
Wasn't she involved in Rogue One as well?
She played a character in Rogue One.
I thought she was involved in the writing.
She might have done some script work, because that does sound like her. There's some lines. There's one particular line that Ana de Armas says, and I'm like, that is a total Phoebe Waller-Bridge line. And I think it's everybody in this film has something to do. They're not showing up if they don't have something to do. And I think that is just really, 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 really well done. And I'm glad I've gone through that without giving any spoilers whatsoever, because this is an easy. There's so much spoilerific stuff.
Spoilerific.
There's so much, but I'm gonna move on from that. So that is it. No Time to Die. You guys go see it tomorrow. Come back next week and tell me how wrong I got it. So. Tell me how wrong I got it. And so now we go over to Sharon. And Sharon, this week you saw, I've forgotten the title already.
There's no definitive article. It's called Edge of the World.
Edge of the World. That's the problem. I keep thinking Ed of Tomorrow.
That's not the one where he goes to Sarawak, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Is that I've seen that. I watched that. I watched that. Come on. Oh,
you can review it with me then.
No, cool. Yeah, no, I watched that. That's another thing I watched. See, I forget about half these things.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good, because I'm not sure if I've got an awful lot to say about it. But so it's basically, and the time is on. It's basically set in the early Victorian age, 1830s, and there's he's a British ex-army man. I get the feeling that, and he heads to what we call as Borneo. To explore sort of British interests effectively, what resources they have and what they can take advantage of. And he's there, and they discover that all the local peoples are being plagued by pirates, the river pirates, or are these tribes and these people who basically are causing mayhem along the main river. And he gets involved, and without going into the minutiae, he is basically fated and welcomed as someone who, really has a passion for the people who live there, and he is elevated to the position of Raja of Sarawak, isn't it?
Sarawak, I think, or Brunei. I think it's Sarawak. Yeah, it's one of the. You've got in Borneo, you've got two Malaysian colonies, Sabah and Sarawak, and the other's owned by Indonesia, and I'm pretty sure it's Sarawak.
Because he's given this position by the Sultan of Brunei, or his representative, and you see basically the conflict is east meets west, the interests of the British Empire at that time about expanding Victoria's empire, And with his conflict of becoming involved with the local populations and finding out what's best for them, as well as sort of meeting the needs of, his nation. And it deals with his interpersonal relationships with different members of the community he lives with, and how his sort of calls on his, what's home? Is home where you live, or is home where you're from? And it's those sort of, you get that sense of conflict between, where he's from and where he is now.
Well, cool, good stuff. So historical.
So you tell us, Shaun, a bit more.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's a bit historical. So it's basically, I mean, what intrigued me about this is The Man Who Would Be King, that great Sean Connery and Michael Caine film. That's what intrigued me about this. This is sort of based on that, and you've got the man who I don't know who's the actor. Who's the actor who plays the
Jonathan Rhy Meyerrs.
Yeah, and so he's like becomes probably a bit of a megalomaniac, and he's got his friend, his corporal, his buddy, was I don't know who that actor is.
Dominic Moynihan.
Dominic, that's it. Well done, thanks, Sharon. You totally so reliable, so cool. I'm glad you're. So yeah, and I mean, there's a lot. It's like Sharon said. He's sort of more down to earth. He's more grounded, and he's saying, "Hey, come on," and then you get some more people come along. I found, for me, my personal feelings on the film were it had moments, but on the whole, it was some of the time it was like I don't know. I didn't really know where it was going, and I wasn't truly convinced by the acting. For me, I mean, from a personal point of view, and yeah, there were moments in it. The thing is why I think I probably didn't put it down as review, because I was sort of half watching it, if you know what I mean. So I wasn't, I mean, sometimes I can do that. I can start something, watch it and get totally engrossed in it. This didn't grab me. This didn't have the hook, if you know what I mean. So
well, I'm glad you said that, because I was watching it, but I had the same feeling that as terms of like a strong narrative, I didn't feel, to me, like it had a strong enough narrative that I actually understood exactly what's going on. Because when they first sail up the river and there's like a few fights and things, it's hey, we're going to make you a Raj, and I'm thinking, have I missed something? What did he to warrant? Because all he did is like he sailed up, landed around, a few people like. Few pops and bangs. It's
bangs,
like,
hey,
you've saved us all. I thought, is that it? Is that what he did? And I think I missed some of the subtlety, or that just wasn't there. And then part of the storylines, I thought it was a bit heavy-handed with the whole, British Empire bad, local empire good versus, your power-hungry, resource-hungry nutters, and we're all good because I thought. Sometimes that was a little bit clumsy for me, because I think
you put that really well. Yeah, clumsy.
Okay.
Yeah,
clumsy's a good word. A clumsy film, really.
So I thought it meant well, and at the end they do the whole. This is, they give you all the facts about the various characters. I thought, well, that's actually quite interesting. So probably if there'd been a book about it, it might have a bit more my bag.
Well, you're like it reminds me a bit of the film Tag, where they talked about it was an adaptation of this group of friends who have been playing the same game of tag for 20 years or something. And I remember saying that I watched the film, and the most engrossing bit was the bit at the end where they showed the real people playing tag as opposed to the actual film.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like where you're reading the blurb at the end and you're like, why did you make a film of that?
Yeah, I found it more interesting. And so I paused a few times when it had all this screen on the screen, thinking, well, why didn't they do more about that? But so I found it probably meant well, but to me it didn't quite deliver. Yeah. So I would give it I would say it was an okay. So on our grading that we've established, I would give it a 2, because it was okay, but it wasn't. I didn't feel it was that entertaining, because I could have easily started reading my book halfway through and just let it drift on in the background. But I kept watching it. But it wasn't enough for me to say, okay, I'm watching this. I'm not going to be fiddling around with anything else. It didn't hold my attention the way it ought, maybe. So I would give it a 2.
Yeah, all right.
I think you've put that very well. You've explained the whole thing really well, Sharon, because I was like that. It was like, sometimes you can watch something and you get engrossed and you think, what's going on there? But it didn't really have that. It didn't have that. So so I'm with Sharon on that. I'm on 2. But I forgot to say I did watch something else, unless I reviewed it last week. But maybe I'll ask Sharon and she can catch up with it. A film called On High Ground. So if you see that, and that's on Sky. So
okay.
So I might do that one next.
Okay,
week.
because I know that Shaun, you went.
Yeah.
At one
Well,
point.
I watch things and I should write them down, Tosin. I should write them down because I see these things and I don't. I forget. Well,
a bit like those books that you have up in like your attic that have all your ratings of the films you watched when you saw them in the 70s. Revive that. Revive Shaun's film diary. Okay. Shaun's Fury diary. Okay, cool. So that is 2 for Edge of the World, and now we're gonna go back to cinema to watch Sweetherat. Film that obviously once again we have to give I shouldn't just always sort of like bag on the View Cinema and Redditch. I should also give props to the Cineworld Cinema on the Isle of Wight for showing the smaller films, a film that I didn't even know I know nothing about. So Sweetheart, what is this, Shaun?
Okay, basically it's I guess you'd call it a teen angst drama, basically this family goes away to a holiday camp, which I've actually been to years ago, caravan holiday camp, typical holiday caravan type. And there's this 17-year-old girl.
So a British film? A
British film, yeah. Okay. So, and there's a 17-year-old girl. She's obviously 17. She's one of those, she's a lesbian, but she's got all the teenage angst. And there's there's this lifeguard there, this nice girl lifeguard, that she's got a crush on, but she's really horrible to it. It's just lots and lots of situations in this caravan park. But that's the main story. So I won't go too much in that because it's all the other stuff. The family, she's got the mum and says, "Oh, you may be a lesbian, but you don't have to dress like a boy." Do you know what I mean? And is that
yeah.
And the mum was fantastic. I don't think there's any of these. I didn't recognise any of the actors, but the acting was absolutely first class. And the mother, I should write down the cast, shouldn't I? But I could really relate and recognise of these summer holidays because there's a 9-year-old girl and there's another sibling, an older sibling that's married and her husband, and she's pregnant, the older sibling, and basically it's just like it's just like family holidays, really. It's like family holidays. You get the rows, they're all funny and like stormings offs and people trying to make the peace and it was. Yeah, I could really relate to this sort of holidays. I've been on a few camping holidays when I was younger, and you always get the little odd rows, and they all go to the entertainment park in the evening, and there's they got the magician, all the cheesy magicians and the cheesy
is it kind of like a Butlins?
But yeah, it is. Yeah, basically it's a Butlins. It's like caravan park. It's like Thorness or somewhere like that. So they go down there, and the daughter's like, getting really fed up. Well, I'm going to go and hang out with some. So she sort of wanders off and tries to hang out with these people, and she, people make a pass at her, whatever, and things. And so it's, yeah.
Yeah, so Shaun, I was just going to say, so everything you're saying, I'm hearing, and this might be a dirty word in some context, or a dirty term in some context. I'm hearing coming of age movie.
Coming of age movie, yeah, probably, yeah, it would be a coming of age, but I don't think they really come of age, so I don't know if it would be. I don't know if it could be a come of age movie because it just ends like like a holiday romance, or and it's like I've been when you're that age and you've been in situations. Shall I do it? What shall I do? Or I'll get drunk because they're all getting drunk. I don't really drink, but I want to look at one of the thing and stagger back and throw up. You know what I mean? And I'll come back, not meaning to, but you get into situations and because you're that age, you don't want to be like. And she's really clever, and she's with this bunch of like local lads who are like, oh yeah, what? And she says about, oh, what do you think? Because she's really quiet, and then she says something about the universe and all that like that, and they all go, ooh, professor, you know what I mean? And so she's like super smart, but then this other girl sort of quite interested in that. So yeah, I really related to this film. I didn't know anything about it. I just figured I'd go to see it, and it was. I could do everything. These little small indie films sometimes are really good. Yeah. And as I say, I thought the acting was absolutely terrific, and I was convinced by the. I seriously was convinced because sometimes I can look at these things and think no, and I could just think yes, okay, I see that, I can see what the mother's trying to do, and it's really good because although she's the. You could sort of think, well, she's had a bit of a tough time. She's trying to do the best. She's giving the money and all that, but. And she's got some foibles, yeah. So,
right.
So, yeah.
I think the mum might be played by Sophia Di Martino.
Right. Okay.
Who you would know as Sylvie from the TV show Loki.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Oh right, I thought she looked so familiar. And that's what I couldn't understand. That's what I was thinking. But she looked so different as well.
Oh.
So yeah.
All right.
So
Cool.
yeah. So I like this film. Yeah.
So how many stars did you give it?
I give this one. I'm gonna have to give this one. I did enjoy it. I thought it was convinced that it was everything else, but it wasn't like wow. So this is going to get one of our 3s, I think, on our which I really like our current basing system. I think it's really good. So this is going to get a good 3.
Yeah, but a 3 could mean that Shaun likes it very, very, very much. Okay, so I was just gonna say that was Sweetherat sounds good. I will try and find that. I'll try and catch that when it eventually comes onto a streaming platform. I was just gonna say I think it probably will be more of a streaming film. But it's like those other films. It's like Leave No Trace. It's all these not big blockbusters. I find quite intriguing. Tiny indie gems.
Yeah.
But also the thing with it is, okay, you have this tiny indie, but also, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the time between a film being in cinema and becoming onto a streaming platform has shortened dramatically. Like Free Guy, we reviewed Free Guy. Yeah, we reviewed Free Guy.
That's right. Yeah, I know. Go on about the streaming.
I was going to say, it's on Disney Plus already.
Yeah,
it's on Disney Plus already, and it was.
Is it really?
Yeah. Free Guys on Disney Plus. We reviewed that I don't know, 4 weeks ago or something.
That's right.
Yeah, so
it's still at the cinema at Newport. You can still see it at the cinema.
Yeah, it's still at the cinema over here. It's already on Disney Plus.
Free Guy, that was great. We liked that, didn't we?
Yeah, Free Guy was fun. Free Guy was a lot of fun. All right, cool. So now we go back to Netflix. Go to Netflix, and this is something. So you know how we have started realizing that different streaming platforms have seemed to make certain formats their own. Like how Amazon is all about the time loop comedy or the time loop film. Amazon's like, we will do the time loop thing. And Netflix seemed to be going anthology documentaries. Like we had the history of curse words, where they go into one thing and they're doing a new one with Rob Lowe, which is going to be called the world's greatest film tropes, where they go through and each one of them they sort of pick a trope and they go through the whole thing. And so Netflix seems to be doing this, and this is one that they've decided to do on pop music called This Is Pop. And each episode has a different topic that they go in, has a different presenting style. So it goes all the way from, the first one is called the Boys to Men Effect, and it talks about Boys to Men, who were an American close harmony group in the 90s, and how the effect that they had on the whole music industry, and how when you look at it, after Boys to Men, all the boy bands started looking like Boys to Men. But there's a slightly sort of like, well, there's a race connotation to it, where they had Boys to Men who were black, and then they did the whole thing and everybody loved them. But then they essentially went, and the music industry took a whole bunch of guys, put them together, who were white but dressed like Boys to Men, did everything like Boys to Men, and they became bigger than Boys to Men. And so throughout the whole thing, they have the members of Boys to Men who they're covered in. So I think some of these, so there's one on Boys to Men, there's one on Britpop, there's one on festivals and how festivals became big, there's one about country music and how countries can get all stuff. And so there's different levels of interest and different levels of how great some of them are. There's one that focuses on protest songs that seems to, the guy Hosier, he did the song Take Me to Church. Yeah. And they sort of place Hosier as, the way they treat him almost as the patron saint of protest songs, and I don't understand how they came to that. There's one about a building in America called the Trill Building that had a lot of did a lot of hits in like the 60s and all that. But for me, the standout episode, the one that I loved the most, is one called Auto Tune. And Auto Tune, Auto Tune is, have you ever heard a song recently in the last couple of years where you're listening to it and when the person is singing, it sounds a bit robotic? Like, think
like Cher did a couple of those, didn't she? With
bang on, Sharon. Cher was the big first one when she came.
Do You Believe in Love? Was that the one?
Yes, and Auto Tune was this thing where this guy came up with it, and the whole idea behind it is that somebody could sing badly in rehearsal or sing badly in the studio, and then you can just change it and make them sound good. And but that wasn't what and he just did it as an experiment to see if he could do it. But the people started using this thing, and there's a guy called T-Pain. He's a hip hop artist called T-Pain, who took autotune and started, and that became his signature sound. When T-Pain was singing, it would sound robotic. It would sound like, and that was kind of his, but he used it in, I think, quite a clever way, and he did a lot of big hits. But then all of a sudden, everybody started using it, and then there was this backlash. There was this backlash against autotune, and it all fell on T-Pain's head. And they all started saying T-Pain killed music. And he tells this story about how he was on a plane with another music artist, Usher. And Usher called him over and says, you really effed music up. You really effed music up for all the real singers. You've messed the whole thing up. You're rubbish. And he starts talking about how he went into essentially a 4-year depression because he started thinking, oh, have I really messed music up? Have I? And that, for me, that episode was like, when you're watching something and you feel, okay, I feel like I'm getting something here. I feel like, I'm seeing something that I would not have seen otherwise. I loved that episode because it actually told me something about an era of music that I was alive for, that I was kind of aware of, but it told me things that I didn't know about it. And if nothing else, it makes me think, you know what? I think I have a lot of respect for T-Pain. I've actually gone and started listening to his albums again and going, you know what? A lot of the hate this guy got was not warranted. It was not warranted. So I would recommend This Is Pop. But as I said, some are better than others. So all in all, I'll give the series a 3. I'll give This Is Pop a 3 because some of them I loved. I love the Boyz II Men one. I love the autotune one. Some of them were a bit... Yeah.
Is it mainly based on the American music industry, or is it global? Because I know you said there's a Britpop one, but I don't know a lot of American music because I went a bit British indie in the 80s, and I haven't really come back from that.
Well, there's an episode called The Stockholm Effect, or it might actually be called Stockholm Syndrome, which is about the fact that ever since ABBA, for some reason, Sweden has become a pop music powerhouse, where pretty much any big star that you think of has gone to Sweden to go work with producers in Sweden and so get things produced there and everything like that. And that's quite good. So I think it's good because you get to go into a whole bunch of different areas that you might not have known that much about.
Yeah, that's quite good. That actually, that type of thing's quite good, isn't it? When you can go to, it sort of leads you down. Yeah, it leads you to another place. Cool.
Yeah, it leads you to another place. It teaches you something that you didn't know beforehand. It's pretty cool. All right, cool. And now we do not have a third thing in the cinema because everybody's running scared from Bond, from the best Bond movie that's ever been made. But now we go to Pennyworth Season 2. Now, Shaun, I remember you came in raving and singing the praises of Pennyworth Season 1, and you couldn't get enough of it. I think you actually even gave it a 5.
I think I probably did,
and okay, cards on the table. The fact that it's taking you this long to watch Season 2 makes me think that we might be in for a little bit of there's a little bit of air is being let out of the balloon. So Shaun, tell us, Pennyworth Season 2, what did you think?
Pennyworth Season 2. Okay, let's get so basically it carries on. It's a few months after the first Pennyworth, and you've got the League fighting the Queen's government, and basically so there's a civil war. And the only places left which the Queen has got control of is like Cornwall, Norfolk, and London itself. And there's a bit of a neutral zone. And you've got all the characters turn up, like Aleister Crowley, and and the prime minister is an archbishop, and they want to get rid of him. So they try to say, can you? They say to Aleister Crowley, can you come up with something to corrupt him? So he's uncorruptible, so anyway, but let's just so they're like, Alistair can do this. If anyone can corrupt the archbishop, Alistair can. And in this as well, you've got Martha who's going to become, they get married. They do get married in this, I'll tell you this. And
Martha Wayne,
yeah. So Martha Wayne, you got Martha Wayne, and
Batman's
she becomes pregnant.
Ooh.
And yes, right. Yes. But I mean, anyway, that's towards the end, but there's like a wow factor in it at the end on the last episode in this, but I am not going to say pardon? I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not going to say a thing. But let's say, this was, I wouldn't
So
say it was,
because this is kind of it's kind of like the younger days of Batman's eventual butler.
I think it's but it seems to be a slightly different universe. So
Yeah, from what you just said, it sounds like almost like an alternate timeline of different things happening.
yeah, I think an alternate timeline, but there's some great Paloma Faith as Bet is absolutely. I love Bet.
She was in it.
Yeah, and she goes, "All right, ducks," you know what I mean? What's the matter? She's absolutely fabulous, absolutely brilliant. Love her to bits. And her and her sister and Peggy. So they play Bet and Peggy, and they're like, you know, they stomp around and do. Yeah, no, there's so much going on in it. So much going on. Lots and lots of different episodes, and I liked most of them. There were a few which were a bit dull, but they've got the League has created this weapon, and the army's back in the League, and you've got they've got this weapon which somebody has to take, and it might, you know, I don't know if I don't recognize it as a Batman character, but you know, like a superhero-y type thing, or should we say a robotic thing with that, you know, so you've got like a little bit of a backstory there, but it is really intriguing. It's really intriguing. So
I always find it funny, Shaun, when you're talking about something, and I can see you trying to talk around spoilers. I can almost see you walk. I can see you walk up to the spoiler and go, "Oh no, can't say that." Okay, no, can't say that either.
That's exactly right.
This gate crashes down. Like, we can't do that.
That's why I shoot off a little random. So let me calm down a little bit. I'm going to calm down a little bit for the last couple of minutes and just we go for this. So yeah, basically, so you got the story. You got the two different factions fighting each other. You got Pennyworth. He sort of plays both sides, and he's got one of his old captains comes, and so he does other little jobs on the side like robberies and things that go wrong. And all Pennyworth wants to do is he just wants to get to America. He just wants to get to America, and he manages to get all this money, and then something happens which may have been staged by one or other things. So he loses all the money, and his mates lose all the money. He goes, "Oh, what we're going to do? Oh, we've got to do another job." So this is how that's the story. Oh, and you've got Lucius Fox turned up in this one.
Oh,
Lucius. He's the one that discovers the thing. Anyway, so yeah.
If anybody was wondering what we're talking about, that was Shaun just backing away rapidly from a spoiler. That was Shaun driving all the way up to a spoiler, putting the car in reverse and getting out of there.
So one of the missions is the old Lucius is like, I need to get out fast. So they go to obviously they go to Pennyworth to do the job, you know. And there's this really horrible character. Oh yeah, the Lord gets killed, and the person who takes power is like a really nasty Nazi, little round glasses, you know, typical white ring, not very nice person at all. But
did you say he was a nasty Nazi?
Basically, yeah. This basically it's like a you know, slimy, like
as far as they go, even amongst them, he's nasty.
Right. Nasty, yeah.
As opposed to.
He's not, as opposed
a nice
to
Nazi.
No. Anyway, I like my alliteration, So, but I'm just going to say this one. So, but anyway, he manages to get sorted by Paloma and her sister. So by Betten, so they manage to
Bet and Peggy.
But quite save the day. But you know. So no, this is good. I love this as well. This was. I mean, I don't know why it took me so long to see it. Really. I think because I saw a long while ago, I saw the first couple of episodes, and then I managed to catch a couple more, and then I decided, right, okay, I'm going to really get into this. So, I did enjoy this one as well. There's some new characters in there. I don't know where it's going to go, so I don't know if they will do a third season, but it was certainly intriguing. So I'm going to give this one a 4. I'm going to give this one a 4 because I really did like this one as well. So even though it took me a while to watch it.
So 4 for Pennyworth. Now Pennyworth was a show that when they first announced it, I was like, okay, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel now. Because they actually make a joke about it in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, which, even though it's a cartoon, is one of the funniest satires of the whole superhero thing that I have seen. Eat your Deadpools. I don't care. Teen Titans Go to the Movie is hilarious, and they have a bit where they're going to watch the Batman movie, and they're like, the new Batman movie called Batman Again. and before the film starts, they have all these previews, and they go, and now finally, the one that he's been beside Batman this whole time, and Robin is like, yes, finally, they're gonna make a movie about me, and they go, no, it's Alfred the butler. And then they go, and then they go next one, and it's like, the next movie is going to be Batmobile the movie, and after they go Utility Belts the movie, and they just joke about how they just keep making all these different things on the. And I thought Pennyworth was going to be one of those. I thought Pennyworth was going to be one of those because I'm like, why are you making the thing? But it sounds like they've come up with something a bit different.
It's a bit unique. And I mean, the one thing, and I meant to say that, and I forgot to say about it, was that I just love where it's set. So it's set in Britain.
A version of England.
I'm assuming, a version where the police have guns, and but the music is real modern music as well. So like in the nightclubs, you got that. So it's like, it's great. It's a real enigma, really. So with all the different stuff. Yeah.
Right. And so we get to the point of the show where we try and figure out who has won this week. We have done this by averages because we had 2 things in the cinema, 3 things at home on Netflix. So, Shaun, Sharon, now this is where Sharon's trying to do it. You can see it on her face, the mental arithmetic that she's trying to do. And go, hang on, what did we say? What did we give that? What did we give that? Who do you guys think won today? Netflix or cinema?
I'm going to say...
I think cinema.
Oh, it's a tough one, that. I don't know, because we got, what did we get for? We could be looking at cinema, but I reckon it might even with the averages. Well, no, because there can't be a 0.5. Because cinema by 0.5.
Cinema by 0.5. This is Shaun showing his memory, or maybe just showing, like you showed us last week, your ability to read mine and Sharon's minds. They're gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch that. So it's like, yes, you are right. On the averages, cinema has got it by 0.5. It would have been worse if we didn't have 3 things, because we had started off with No Time to Die, which I have given 4, and Edge of the World with 2. So yeah. Then Sweetherat with 3, This Is Pop with 3. So at that point, if we're looking at total stars, cinema was ahead by 2. And then Pennyworth came up and gave it with a 4 to sort of say, come on, Netflix and friends, I'll drag you on my back. We can totally do this. So this week it is cinema that has won. But yeah, I would say, you guys go watch No Time to Die. Go watch No Time to Die.
We will.
I look forward to hearing what you guys think and to see whether I'm all alone. I'm all alone. See if I'm all alone in this. So yeah, Shaun, any more picture quiz?
No, that's it for the picture quiz at the moment. Yeah, I'll save it till next week, and it's Sharon's turn next week. It's Sharon's turn to get a, and we'll see.
You normally they're even Stevens.
Yeah,
where we both normally have a fair go at them.
Fair go at them. Yeah, that's it.
So if you want to do something from like a musical,
you want a musical? I had something else in mind, but
or a costume drama of some kind. But we've had a couple of those as well. So I'm easy about that.
Okay, we shall find some things.
Cool.
It's definitely you next week because I'm
Yeah.
So.
All right, cool. So in that case, until next week, when will we have Dune? Will we have Dune next week, or is it going to be 2 weeks after James Bond and then
teased at Newport because they re-showed the 1984 Dune in the cinema.
Oh,
the cinematic release.
What happened?
Dune, and it was like, it's the David Lynch Dune, which I like, but I don't want to see that one so close to the new one.
I actually think seeing it that close to the new one doesn't do the old one any favors, because even the trailer of the new one, you're looking at going, okay, this is a totally different proposition. This is looking quite good. All right, cool. So until next week, when we'll figure out what it is what's happening, we'll see some stuff on the Isle of Wight. I'll probably see nothing in the cinema in Redditch. It's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me. Sharon, if you do get a chance, just out of interest, on Sky, if it is time and you can catch it, it's called On High Ground. On High Ground, okay. Yeah. Or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's everything. Thank you very much for those of you who join us on Facebook. We will see you next week. Bye.